This probably looks like a rather ordinary blue suitcase. In fact, it has a special significance. It was the property of the Duchess of Roxburgh, who bequeathed her library to Trinity College, and this suitcase contained some of the rarest books from that collection. It contained what she referred to as the Holy of Holies, a pile of exceptionally rare first editions of Shelley's books, books inscribed by Byron, Browning, Oscar Wilde and William Beckford, a biography of George Washington with an original letter pasted into it. She left all the books in her house, West Horsley Place in Surrey, to Trinity. The house was bought by her father, Robert Crewe Milnes, Marquis of Crewe, in 1931 as a weekend retreat from his duties in the House of Lords. The Marquis was a formidable book collector, but it was his own father, the Victorian MP Richard Monckton Milnes, later Lord Houghton, who collected most of the books being offered to the college. Both father and son had studied at Trinity. Their books cover an amazing diversity of subject matter. The Crewe collection is one of the most exciting undiscovered libraries in Britain. There are about 7,500 books in the collection, and they cover all branches of English and French literature, history, politics. Many books were presented by their authors to Richard Monckton Milnes and his son, and they often have letters which are completely unknown until now, pasted into the front of the books. Richard Monckton Milnes was a student at Trinity in the 1830s at the same time as Tennyson, Thackeray and many other great writers. He became a prominent liberal politician and a campaigner for many progressive causes, and that's reflected in his book collecting. He achieved some popularity as a poet and had particular interests in the poetry of Keats, Shelley and Blake. He was also a voracious reader of novels and got to know Dickens, Trollope, Wilkie Collins, and most of the other great writers of the later 19th century. Sometimes a picture can say more than a letter. Here is a volume of poems which Tennyson presented to my dear Milnes with a charming drawing of his friend. When we first visited West Horsley Place, it became clear that the library was one of the most extraordinary and important private collections in Britain. There were piles of books in every room, and it took several days to look along the shelves and get an idea of the range of subjects. It was an extraordinary experience to go there because it really felt as though the books had been untouched for, well, almost a century. Richard Monckton Milnes did not restrict his interests to England. Half of the 7,000 books to come to Trinity are in French. Monckton Milnes was always fascinated by French history, especially the French Revolution. He was born in 1809, so he didn't witness it, but in 1848, when the Revolution of 1848 happened, he travelled to Paris at the time when everyone else was fleeing and collected little pamphlets, song sheets and things that were really printed in very small numbers and are hardly preserved in libraries at all. On his return to London, he made comprehensive collections of the great French writers of the time, all immaculately leather-bound. Many of these French books were not available in any Cambridge library until now. Some are not found in any library in Britain, and a small number are unknown even in the Bibliothèque Nationale de France. His books cover many of the more abstruse fields of legislation, such as trial transcripts of famous forgers, murderers, bigamists, and witches. Although much of the collection dates from Monckton Milnes's lifetime, there are plenty of older books from the 17th and 18th centuries, including several editions so obscure that no other copy has been tracked down in any library catalogue in the world. More than 200 manuscript volumes were completely unknown to modern scholars, and range from 17th century poetry anthologies to messianic prophecies. It was quite a complicated logistical exercise to move 7,500 books from the country house from West Horsley Place to Trinity. Since its arrival in Cambridge, we've spent several months in sorting and cleaning and conserving this outstanding new collection, removing mould and beginning to repair the damage which has occurred over many years. The first few hundred books have been added to our online catalogue, and gradually we'll make a wider selection of complete books freely available on our website, the Wren Digital Library. All of the books from the Crewe collection are available for scholars to consult by appointment.